Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm taking a look at the 4th Doctor Adventure episode, The Eternal Battle, the second episode in the sixth series of the 4th Doctor Adventure series, so it's series 6, episode 2. I love the front cover. Three main reasons why I got this release. Was one, to find out whether or not it was an improvement over the previous story, being Beast of Kravanos. Two, because aside from the War Doctor box set episode with the Sontarans, technically I haven't really got a proper Sontaran story, because I don't really count that one as an official Sontaran story, seen as the Daleks and then the War Doctor, and yes, he's canon, but you know, it just doesn't feel like what I class as a traditional Sontaran story. So this technically, for me anyway, is my first Sontaran story in audio. And then thirdly, I just really like the cover and the sound of what this one was as well. So on the cover, we've got this sort of very solemn Tom Baker / 4th Doctor there. You've got Romana there. Then you've got all these Sontarans. This one getting blasted. This one looks like he's got a gun, and then some other ones sort of falling down on the floor or falling down. And then there's this one here who is on the floor. And then you've got these like laser beams. And then you've got a gun there. And then you've got the sort of P. Davison logo and writing. It's written by Kevin Scott and Mark Wright. Then on the spine you've got Doctor Who The Eternal Battle 6.2, which means 6 series episode 2. On the back you've got the running time information stuff, and then the synopsis and cast. On the inside you've got the disc and then the pamphlet with a synopsis of next month's issue. Next month's sort of release. So yeah, what did I think of The Eternal Battle? I really enjoyed it. It is definitely an improvement over The Beast of Kravanos, which, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched that review, I only gave a 6 out of 10. I didn't particularly like it. What I will say though, in comparison, is that although I didn't particularly like the Doctor in that one, and that in this one, I absolutely like him a lot more. I absolutely love him. He's back more. There's more sort of tones of the sort of earlier Tom Baker that I really like, but he's still kind of solemn. And then there's some sort of very arrogant, sort of very alien, sort of almost Colin Baker 6th Doctor elements. But I'm not too fond of those, but they only happen through a section of part 2. For the most part, he's very witty, very funny. Although he's funny in that, he's not, you know, proper season 12, 13, and or even 14, sort of bumbling, like, you know, proper sort of Mad Hatter, off the walls sort of Tom Baker. He's being funny, but it's still very sort of toned down and macabre, really, I would say. Well, not macabre, but just very, solemn and toned down. But then, what do you expect when you go into an audio and, you know it's season 18 where Tom didn't particularly like working there anymore as the Doctor, or working as the Doctor, and being the Doctor, should I say, as an actor. But whereas Lalla Ward as Romana was better in the previous one, I didn't particularly like her here, so it's very odd. I preferred the Doctor here, but not so much Romana, sorry. And then in the previous release, I preferred Romana, but not so much the Doctor. Very strange, I know. And K9's been brilliant in both releases, which is good. I'd like to think he has more to do in this one, and he seems to be more of a sort of action sort of character, sort of using his laser beams a lot more in this one, whereas previously he was a lot more comedic. He was a lot more the sort of comedic character, whereas I guess that role is given back to rightfully to the Doctor, where at the beginning, spoiler alert, but they go on about the Lake District, and then there's this museum of pencils. Yes, you can do all sorts with a pencil, you see, Romana. Doodle, scribble, draw, sketch, all manner of things, Romana. Well, you know, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the sort of idea of this one, Where with the new series, I'm sort of criticizing it a lot of the time for being overly too simplistic or having stories that don't have enough substance and or content there. I would say the opposite of Big Finish. I almost criticize Big Finish audios for having too many plot threads and or too complex threads and substance and content there, to a point where I get sort of muddled up with what's happening and where the story's going. And so usually in this case, or with this story at hand, you know, I am praising it primarily because it's fairly simple, really. It's from point A to point B. I wasn't massively confused. Although it was set in a war-type fields, and is obviously a war story, it felt rather slow in places. Like, its pacing, it was good pacing, but it still felt slow in comparison to how fast-paced, say, Beast of Kravanos, or even other just sort of, to my knowledge, Sontaran stories are, you know. I would definitely say this is easily like the Time Warrior for the Fourth Doctor, and that's saying something considering his two other televised Sontaran stories, the Sontaran Experiment and the Invasion of Time, are not the best Sontaran stories for me, or I don't think they are. Purely as Sontaran stories, I think Invasion of Time is a good story and or episode, but not the best Sontaran story personally. Whereas this feels very good. It feels, as I say, like the Time Warrior, but meets Tom Baker and Season 18, therefore Romana and K9. Talking about Season 18, it's got very sort of Season 18, sort of early Peter Davison, sort of very John Nathan Turner-esque, sort of, you know, what's the word, radiophonic sort of synth music, synthetic music, and that very in your face, very, yeah, in your ears, in your face, sort of, yeah, like blaringly loud, which normally I found annoying or very sort of distracting in the television series, but televised series. But here I actually didn't mind it. It gave it extra depth and authenticity to the era almost. I really like Dan Starkey's performance as some of the Sontarans. The Sontarans feel so like what they are supposed to be, which is brilliant. And the idea of the zombie Sontaran, spoiler alert, is really cool, and finding out what's behind that and why the Sontarans are fighting other Sontarans and things like that is really interesting and really cool. I think the only thing though that connects this with Beast of Kravanos is the fact that at the end of Beast of Kravanos they says, oh, the Doctor says something to Leela, Romana even, I keep saying that, something about going to the Lake District, and then, as I say, that's mentioned at the beginning, but besides that, it's its own adventure, so you could potentially, if you really wanted to start here, if you really didn't want to pick up Beast of Kravanos, which, obviously, I would recommend not picking up, but obviously, it's totally up to you, and obviously, if you want to get the whole series, then yeah, it would probably make more sense to get that one, and you might enjoy it, but other things that, yeah, might make you not enjoy this one is, obviously, it is fairly basic. It is a Sontaran story, so depending on your personal preference of the Sontarans, you might not like this one, and that, but I really like the Sontarans. I really like their sort of warlike sort of nature and characteristics, and it's explored here very, very well. It's sort of like, almost like the Sontaran, the Time War, the Time Warrior even, meets The Walking Dead almost, because there is some sort of zombie-like presence here, and that, and it's just a really good episode all round. It's a really great, simple but elegant package and or piece of Doctor Who, and I really enjoyed it, and I could follow it fairly well pretty much from point A to B. There were very few times that I was confused and I liked it. It was very action packed. It had I think my major criticism and or gripe with Lalla Ward's Romana was the fact that she kept just getting angry and very angry, and that a lot of the time. Granted, a lot of the situations called for her to be a bit angry and a bit like, K9, do something, K9, hurry up, do something, there's a Sontaran about to kill me, K9, and then K9's just there like, but mistress, the Sontaran is in the way from my fire. Oh, I cannot fire because you are in the way of me firing. Affirmative, mistress. And it's just like, I like K9 and I like the Doctor, but yeah, Romana was less than average or above average, unfortunately. She was okay. Yeah, I would say she was average, but it was a bit annoying. There was some decent bits, but as I say, I think where this episode shined, if anything, I felt like Romana got sidelined, and I felt like the Sontaran towards the latter end was probably more the companion to the Doctor, and he was really cool and interesting, and yeah, I really liked the story. I would give The Eternal Battle a 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching, comment, rate, and subscribe.